What up, guys? Just me, James, the only Bolt Bro in today. Kyle and Andrew are at the stadium right now. They currently are hanging out at SoFi at Thunder Alley. So glad to be here. I wish I was there, but unfortunately, I couldn't make it work today. So week 3, we are here, guys. Excited to be able to have this game against the Jags, and I think a lot of people initially, when they looked at the schedule, thought this game was just going to be a complete, win, no problem. As we've seen with the Jags, if you guys have been paying attention to them, they did have a week 1 loss versus the Commanders and found a way to lose that game to Carson Wentz. And then next week, then dominated the Colts, which, whichever way you want to look at it as, the Colts were a pretty good team kind of in the preseason. And then it seemed like for some reason or another, the Colts just laid an egg, straight 0. They got smoked against the Jags last week, 24-0. So I'm going to kind of go through some game notes here, kind of just go over a couple different things that we got kind of going on here and about the Jags. And then we'll talk Chargers and kind of what we feel would be the best to be able to beat the Jags today. So we got some people kind of piling in here in our stream. So excited to have you guys here once again. Anything that you guys got, any questions, comments, anything about the game, we'd love to be able to let us know. I'm just going to put something real quick in the chat. Questions here. And also, guys, make sure you guys smash a like on the video, share it if you like. If you guys like the content here, obviously subscribe to the channel. We appreciate the support, guys, too, for sure. All right. Let's go through some notes here about the Jags. Actually, one thing I wanted to say, too, is that we're getting really, really close to be able to have our T-shirts up. So we are going to be bringing our T-shirts to our store. So it's actually going to be funny little shirts that we're just kind of play off some, popular culture things. And then also our Bolt Bros tees and such too. So we're going to kind of grow that store out as we get our designs completed and ready to go. So keep an eye out for that. We'll announce it fully when you could jump on the site and grab some T-shirts. But that's pretty exciting, and something that we've always wanted to really do here too is to be able to make some cool little merchandise for our fans there. So Anthony, stoked to see Asante Samuel and Bryce Callahan. I think each of them will have an INT. Man, it's crazy how this game is. Asante has been pretty much close to having a couple picks each game. The one that got called back and said that it was on the ground, I think that was kind of a little bit of an iffy call from the Chiefs game, whichever way you want to look at it. I know there was another game that had a similar kind of pick, and it ended up getting called as an interception. So I don't know, but Asante is really growing into a great cornerback. And Bryce, he's been one of the best slot cornerbacks in the league. So it's exciting to be able to see him and see what he could do again this game. I mean, it's an interesting thing about the Jags because they have a pretty wide kind of offense for their wide receivers, and even to say their running backs too with Travis Etienne. So we'll see how that kind of pans out. But let's go over a couple different notes here about the Jags. So first off, if you guys didn't know and did not hear, they've been terrible on the road. They haven't won a road game since 2019, and ironically, it was against the Oakland Raiders. So that, come to think of that, I mean, the Raiders have been in Vegas for a couple of years, right? So it's been a long road for them on trying to win a road game, period. I think they have the 6th or 7th longest running streak of the NFL history of not being able to win a road game. And it's pretty bad. But I mean, obviously they've had some rocky roads with coaching and such. Doug Marrone, Urban Meyer. So it really hasn't helped out a whole heck of a lot there. So that's kind of something here. And personally, I don't want to be the team, and I don't want the Chargers to be that team to just say, hey, look, we're just going to give them a road victory, or their first road victory in years. So I don't want to be that team. So, but, on the flip side of that, the Jags are 0-5 versus Chargers on the road. So We have a good record against them. The Jags have never beat us as an organization on the road, so that's pretty big. It's really odd with the Jags. They have an extremely healthy team. I mean, they really have Shaquille Griffin, who is questionable, on their list, which that makes no sense to me. In the NFL, a lot of guys get injured, obviously, and that just seems really strange. There's only one guy on there that actually just came onto the list later in the week. Earlier in the week, they didn't even have one single injury. So I don't get it. So really questionable in my opinion. So as for us, man, we got, a pretty dire looking list of people who are injured. So Trey Pipkins, who's questionable, Keenan Allen, who's questionable, J.C. Jackson is doubtful for this game, Corey Linsley's doubtful, Donald Parham got pushed out to doubtful. So we got a couple guys there that might not go. My opinion, I think Trey Pipkins will go. It's just like a lateral foot sprain. I guess Joey Bosa's had some injuries with that or issues with that in the past. It's no problem. Keenan Allen, I'm unsure of where that will go with him. I mean, I know based upon what we've been told, it's not that serious, but who knows? These little soft tissue and definitely like hammy issues are very, very tough to work with. JC Jackson, doubtful. I'm okay with that. I think that he does need a little bit more time to kind of heal. Corey Linsley, that's a big one in my opinion, just because he's kind of the general of the O-line there. He really sees things and helps out the quarterback and obviously helps stabilize the middle of our line, which could be a massive weakness for us. So we'll see how that pans out. And Donald Parham, man, it's been a while for him, and that's a hammy issue that's been just lingering around for him. So now, big one, Justin Herbert, limited throughout the week. We have all been trying to find any news about this, even for fantasy purposes and obviously as a Chargers fan. Currently, he was throwing a little bit on Wednesday. I think he wasn't doing much on Thursday. Oh, no, he threw on Thursday, did not throw on Friday, and they kind of said they did that by design to not throw on Friday. But apparently, Ian Rappaport said that he did have a throwing session on Saturday and seems like he's really trying to push to play today. So we will see. I know Chris Mortensen said the Chargers medical staff is encouraging him to take the long view with this injury. More or less, they're trying to say, hey, look, like you got a long career ahead of you. And I mean, I don't think this is a career-ending type of injury by any means, but it is one of those things that, hey, you still do have a long season ahead of you. So apparently Justin Herbert in the post practice interview on Friday, he said that he still does wear a rib protector, but the same side, the twisting motion is the bigger issue. If you've ever had rib injuries, I've done it before on my right side, and man, just one way of moving, it just hurts. It's just like a sudden pain for him. So I know there was some footage on Thursday of him throwing, and he was really throwing a lot to the left. And I'm not sure the exact location of where the rib fracture is at. I should say rib cartilage fracture. But it seems like he was kind of trying to throw to the direction to see kind of how it worked. And he wasn't throwing any lasers by any means, but he was just testing out kind of the point. So my assumption is that it's on either the left side of his rib cage, I believe. So he wants to see how that twisting motion feels for him. So I don't know. It's interesting. So I did hear some weird rumor. I don't know if it's true. Once again, you don't believe everything on the internet. But on the Twitterverse, they talked about that he did take a pain injection on Wednesday. And so, hey, one shot down. If it worked out well, hey, that's great. We don't want a Tyrod Taylor situation here. So So we'll see how it all pans out for him. I obviously before this game, if he's playing, I'm sure even before he's taken some reps, he's probably going to take another pain injection. So, so excited to be able to see this all around. Excited to see how this game goes for us, and looking forward to it, guys. But once again, guys, any questions, any comments, anything about the game, please throw it in our chat. I know we got a couple people still kind of just coming around in here into the stream and such too, but Willie, yeah, Xander Horvath should be in the backfield with Austin Eckler. I mean, and that's the thing that I'm going to bring up too, just kind of keys to the game on what we need to do to be able to win this game. And I think that's something that we will need to be able to have a very good run game. Josh Palmer, once again, Willie, should fill into the wide receiver spot. I know Keenan it's really tough with these hammies. If you've ever had any hammy issues, man, it is really, really tough. And it's tough to really know what's going to work and what's not going to work for your leg. And we'll see. We'll see where it goes with him. And Josh Palmer does need to have a good game. I mean, I know last week he's trying to step up, but he just didn't really seem on the same page with Justin Herbert. So that's kind of something to be a little alarmed on. So we'll see how Josh Palmer does today. Because, I mean, if he does end up coming in today to take over for Keenan Allen's spot, it's definitely going to be critical for him to be able to make it happen. So let me just talk real quick about how to win this game. I know Andrew kind of talked a little bit about it earlier this week. These are just kind of my points, my thoughts of what we need to do. Stop the running backs. If you know anything about the Jags, they have two very good backs, James Robinson and Travis Etienne. James Robinson, for the bulk of it, is more kind of the power back. He's kind of the guy to be able to try to get the tough yards, tough runner, gets the bulk of carries for this offense and does really well. And if you know anything about him, he runs extremely well. So that's something to be able to think about. We need to be able to stop the running backs. ETN is a guy that really uses a lot more into the run and pass game. So he's kind of a mixed player, kind of a little bit more like an Austin Eckler guy. Last year, obviously, he was out with an injury. So this is really his rookie year. So it's going to be critical to be able to stop the running backs this game. It really will allow, Trevor Lawrence to throw the ball around a little bit more. We want to be able to get him to make some mistakes. If we stop at the running backs, it'll help out with the back end of our defense. So with that being said, to stop the running backs, you got to dominate the line. So dominating the line will bring in sacks, obviously, for Joey Bosa, Khalil Mack, all our guys and our dogs on our defense. And it will be able to bring opportunities for turnovers for this team and make it a tough day for Trevor Lawrence. So, on top of that, dominating the lines, I'm even talking about the O-line too. It helps protect the quarterback, whoever is playing today. I mean, if it's going to be Justin Herbert, great. If it's going to be Chase Daniels, we'll need a lot more protection and dominate the lines even more this week. So it's going to be interesting because with Trevor Lawrence, I think he's a pretty good guy so far in this year. And once again, he's played two teams that are kind of a little shaky, in my opinion. But, he's going to make mistakes. And this defense is very opportunistic based type defense to be able to get interceptions. If we look at anything on that last Chiefs game, I mean, we had probably about 4 different type of times where we had pick opportunities. And a couple of them were just pushed back because of penalties and such. So we have the ability to get after the ball. And I mean, the thing is, though, the Jags do have a very good defense on getting turnovers too. I mean, they beat up Matt Ryan last week. They made him look terrible, and they got to feel really bad about that. So this is a different offense. Obviously, Chargers are a very highly touted team. We basically can make things happen both on our offense and defense. So dominate the lines. That's critical. Bottom line for us, another point, we need to get the run game going and be a bigger part of the game. And that's not just because if there's a chance that Justin Herbert's out or if Chase Daniels goes, we just need to get that run game going. We have too many good backs here with Austin Eckler, Sony Michel. You got Isaiah Spiller, who hasn't got a run yet, I believe, this year, but we need to get him involved somewhere or another. And then Joshua Kelly, who's been running really well too. He's been a very, very good RB2 for us. And so we really need to get that run game going. Now, with the Jags, they're really good against the run. I mean, currently 3rd in the league at 69.9, and they stuffed Jonathan Taylor last week. I mean, who's one of the best backs in the league. So we are currently sitting as the 4th worst rushing team in the league at 75.5 yards a game. That's not good. We need to be able to find a way to get our run game going and take pressure away from Herbert or Chase Daniels, whomever might be at the quarterback position for us. So that is a big key for us. And, one other point here too, keep your foot on the gas. I think that's one thing that we really, really need to do. We start pretty hot with like our first 2 games against the Raiders and the Chiefs. And then we kind of slow down in the second half for some reason. I don't know if that's play calling. I don't know if that's some sort of, just mentality of coming out of the game after the second half and just thinking our defense could do all the job from there. But it's one of those things that we need to find a way to keep that momentum throughout the game. Keep your foot on the gas. Let's go. So Interesting thing that I read today too is that I guess the Chiefs on Thursday night, they felt, I should say last Thursday night, they felt like they were in better condition as players than the Chargers. So that kind of makes me think like, did we really push our players enough to be able to be conditioned and ready for the season? Did we feel like we really weren't, we're kind of slow to get the season going and feeling like our bodies are ready for the game? Because that is always a concern for me early in the year because it is a longer game versus practice. And there's a lot of minutes being played, a lot of running around, a lot of hitting people. There's a lot of things versus like us not playing people in the preseason. Now, I know the Chiefs played a little bit of drives. I think it was maybe one drive, maybe two drives, possibly, I think, for the Chiefs and their starting offense. But that's a thing that I'm always concerned. Is that enough to be able to make your team conditioned? Did we do enough in our camp to be able to have a conditioned team ready for the game? So I don't know. Those are things that I've thought about. And that's one thing I'm thinking, is that the reason why we really haven't been doing well um, for this year so far in the second half? Maybe it's just more of a conditioning issue. I don't know. But that's something to be able to think about. So either way, those are some of my points. I want to hear what you guys think. I know we chatted a little bit about Xander Horvath getting involved with the run game, which I think is a fantastic idea, and he's done really well. We actually even looked a little bit at like the betting line for Xander Horvath getting the first touchdown again because he's done it twice in the past two games. Same type of play. They just flipped the play, made him kind of run out to the flat, and touchdown for him, clear and easy touchdowns for him. So Xander Horvath is a stud. My concern about it is that a guy that, um, any, my concern is a guy who's a rookie can make mistakes, and we've seen that before with guys like Joshua Kelly, and we've seen that with Larry Roundtree, where they try to do a little bit more eager, um, a little eager, and then they end up doing a little too much, and then they end up. Um, fumbling the ball or whatnot, or just trying to do a little too much. So my concern is that I think he's an absolute stud as a back so far, and he's done a pretty good job as a fullback. But that is one thing that we definitely need to do. So we need to get the run game going, and we have a good stable of backs to be able to do that. So I know within probably the next couple hours, we'll know if Justin Herbert's going to go. We're going to know if Keenan Allen's going to go. We're going to know if Trey Pipkins is going to go. One other concern I'm going to throw out there too is having Will Clapp at the center. There is a continuity, and actually within Justin Herbert, his continuity of the center position has been with Corey Linsley since he's been with the league. So that's one thing that I do get a little bit concerned about, having a guy like Will Clapp in the middle of the line. And that's going to probably put a little bit more pressure on Zion. That's going to put a little bit more pressure on Matt Filer too, to be able to block the rush game on us. And so if I was the Jags, that's where I would probably pin on is the middle of the line, which once again, that's where Xander would be a good fill-in guy to be able to make sure he does not allow a rush to be able to get to whatever quarterback we're going to be able to have there. So one other thing too, we'll probably know in the next couple hours about Justin Herbert. I mean, it seems to me like he's kind of really going in that direction that he's going to start. If that does happen, I expect a lot of the short throw game. Hopefully the run game will actually work out really, really well for us. So that's one thing that I definitely think will be the game plan this game. Now, once again, I'll say this, even after the injury in the Chiefs game, he still threw extremely well, which was so mind-boggling to when he didn't even run the ball for 1 yard to get a first down. But it is interesting to see him be able to throw that rope to DeAndre Carter, and then also the touchdown to Joshua Palmer. That was pretty phenomenal to be able to see. So we'll see how it all pans out. Willie, Gerald Everett should have a good reception yardage and touchdown. Yeah, one thing I really like about Gerald Everett, and when we signed up him, I was like, he's a yards after catch and getting those tough yard kind of guy. And I think he's a phenomenal player, and I think it was a great pickup for the Chargers. He definitely did a very, very good job so far. Now, the only knock I'm going to have on him kind of reminded me a little bit of Jared Cook, of taking that one playoff that ended up being a 99-yard touchdown for the Chiefs to pretty much change that whole momentum of that game. Now, I get it. He asked to be out of that game. He asked to be able to have a break. I get it. My thing is, hey, sometimes you got to dig deep when the team is asking you to do something. Any competitive based sport, you got to dig deep and find a way to be able to be out there and play the play all the way to the end with as much effort as you possibly can. So I think that's one thing that I would put as a knock on him. But Gerald Everett, absolute stud. Love having him on the team. It'll be great when we have Darnold Parham back. I don't expect him to play today either, but but that's my points, guys. Those are kind of the questions I wanted to bring up for this game too. And I'm going to say with J.C. Jackson too, possibly being out, I do think that with him, Michael Davis is a pretty good back, by the way. I mean, he's been our starter for some time. Last year was a little bit of a fluke for him. But I do think that one thing with Michael Davis, he still could play the game pretty well. He actually has played pretty well. He played in week 1 versus the Raiders and did really well. So that's something to think about, that we do still have a very good cornerbacks with Michael Davis, who's great for the downfield. I would assume, based upon the Jaguars, I would probably have him on Christian Kirk, who's kind of their downfield guy, and a little bit more speedster, because Michael Davis obviously has some great speed. Marvin Jones Jr. is a good guy. Zay Jones is actually even a pretty good downfield guy. So, either it's going to be, he's probably going to rotate between Christian Kirk and Zay Jones. And Marvin Jones will probably be the Asante Samuel, Bryce Callahan kind of situation. And Zay Jones will probably be same rotational with them too. Evan Ingram has actually been playing pretty well for the Jags too. So we got to be concerned about him too at their tight end position. So that is definitely some concerns there. But I think, and we got the dogs in the backfield that'll actually do really, really well for us this game. So, when we dominate the line, it makes the back end of our defense much stronger and much better all around. So, I mean, the thing about it is we have a fantastic defense that could do a lot. So, bottom line, I'm excited to be able to see this game going and see this game get rolling. And once again, this is not a team to be able to just lay an egg on and to look past. And that in the offseason, one thing I said about the Chargers is that I want them to be able to play their game, and I want them to be able to find a way to not overlook teams. I mean, as we did last year, I think we ended the season as 1-4 last year. I don't think we were prepared going into the end of the season. That Texans game will always bother me, which ironically we're playing next week. But it's at home this time, so we don't need to travel. Excuse me, this one's at Houston next week. But I do think that we just need to make sure this is not a team to look past. The Jaguars are pretty good and have shown some ability to potentially even be 2-0 this season. So that's one thing that I will definitely say. Let's not look past this team by any means. This team is good. The Jaguars are good. And let's not look past them. We need to be able to beat them. This is a great time with the Chargers too, and their schedule ahead. I mean, it does get a little bit easier for us from this point. Our first 2 weeks were pretty brutal. We had to go right into 2 divisional games back to back and going a short week against the Chiefs. And so, this week, obviously, we got the Jags. Next week, Texans at Houston. We play Cleveland in Cleveland, Broncos at home for Monday night, Seahawks back at home. And then we have the bye week from there. And then we have the Falcons out in Atlanta. So this is a big game. This is a game that we really need to show that we are getting better. We are getting stronger as a team. We're getting better all around as a team. And I do think that it takes a couple weeks to be able to get conditioned. I mean, how the Chiefs talked a little bit about that they felt that they're a better conditioned team than the Chargers makes me concerned about the second half and kind of why we've been having some bad second halves here with the Chargers games for the last 2 games. So once again, we need to be able to dig deep and get our second half looking really, really well. So any other questions that you guys do have, any other comments or anything like that, love to be able to hear from you guys. If you guys hit that like button, by the way, share the video, subscribe to the channel too if you guys do enjoy our content. We upload content all the time to talk about the game of the week. We try to find any news, any great any topics that we could talk about But we love to be able to, put as much content as we possibly can out there for you guys to get you guys pumped for the week and get you excited about the Chargers. Now, just still, once again, update. We're still waiting on the Justin Herbert news. It sounds like Herbert's really just going to tough it out and go. It is going to be kind of one of his things that I think it's more on him that he's going to make that decision. Now, interesting thing about it is Vegas changed their odds from 7.5 to basically, I think, 3.5 for this game. And I think it's more just of a concern of Justin Herbert. Um, but I get it. I mean, it's the thing about this injury. Everybody needs to realize that this injury is not going to be healed in 1 week. It's going to take 4 to 6 weeks potentially. It's going to be something that fully heals in about 6 months. So who knows? I don't know where it's going to go, but once again, I think if the Chargers are smart about it, we got to be able to throw the ball quickly, get the ball out of Herbert's hands quickly. I would assume a lot of dink and dunks, some slants, some curl routes, some out routes, maybe a little bit of, just throw it out to the flat to the running back. We'll see where it goes. We bottom line need to be able to get the run game going regardless of whoever's the quarterback this week. That's definitely key here for you guys. So once again, any other questions you guys have, comments, anything about the games, love to be able to hear from you guys. Once again, I'm the only Bolt Bro here today. Andrew and Kyle are at SoFi right now at Thunder Alley. They're having a good time there. We're actually doing some giveaways there too from the Bolt Bros. So if you guys are at the game, go down to Thunder Alley. You can meet my two bros, my brothers, Andy and Kyle at Thunder Alley. So great time. I'm sure it's a great time there. They've sent me some videos and some photos there. It looks pretty phenomenal all around down there. So it's exciting to be able to be at the game like always. So, but outside of that, guys, I'm excited about the game. The game is at 1 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. So excited about the game, excited about how this game goes. Looking forward to this game all around. And, looking forward to be able to get one way or another a opportunity to potentially go 2-1. Now we got Cody Jackson here saying Duval over here. So he got a Jags fan on the chat here. And yeah, man, you guys have a good team and it looks really exciting for you guys. I mean, that division is pretty wide open, especially if the Titans are now 0-2 right now. It's an interesting thing about that is that, man, are the Titans really that bad now? Or are they just kind of at a position where they are not the team that they once used to be? Now, I'll say this. I would love the Titans to beat the Raiders this morning, by the way. So I would love to be able to see that. Doesn't help you guys much, but it is one of those things that if you guys could beat the Raiders, thank you. Appreciate it. All Chargers fan and AFC West fans really appreciate that. We'd love to see the Raiders be 0-3. So good game. It'll be a great game for us today. Joey Bosa, Khalil Mack getting a lot of quarterback sacks. I mean, it's interesting because, their O-line has actually done a pretty good job meeting us in the Jaguars O-line. Last week, they didn't give up any sacks. They only had 2 quarterback pressures. So they've done a pretty good job of keeping Trevor Lawrence upright, which is obviously key. Now, once again, Joey Bosa and Khalil Mack are menaces together. I mean, that is almost like something that is not even shouldn't even be legal in the league to be able to have 2 guys like that at the end. And so I do expect that they are going to get a lot of pressure this game. They will get, in my opinion, Sebastian Joseph Day is going to be able to be a big critical point to be able to get pressure in the middle, which I think is going to be key. And then I also do think that, Kyle Van Noy has been doing great about attacking the middle too. So it's going to be interesting to be able to see how this all pans out for him. But yeah, I do think Joey Bosa, Khalil Mack will get their sacks this game, and I think they'll do really well. Cody, not sure. I think it's a doubtful situation for him. He's got kind of knee tendonitis. They said it was going to be more of a pain injection kind of situation. He didn't really practice this week, so I'm going to say he's out. And earlier in the video, I was kind of chatting a little bit about that, why having Corey Linsley out is major for this team. Centers on your team do a lot for a quarterback. They help you out. They're almost these little generals on the field in front of the quarterback and kind of letting him know what would be the best bet and what he's noticed from their defense. So I don't think Corey Linsley is playing this week. I think he's going to be out this week. That is going to be something, if you are the Jags, that is something to be able to go and attack for sure. So all around, that is something that if the Jaguars are going to attack the middle. We still don't even know about the right tackle to Trey Pipkins, who has been really good for us too. And to be able to see where that ends up going there, because I mean, Corey Linsley is a key part of this team. Trey Pipkins has been really good for us on the right side thus far. So we will see. So there hasn't actually been a true, hey, Justin Herbert's been out. It sounds very positive that he's going to still kind of be a game time decision. He's probably going to know here in about probably an hour or two of where Justin Herbert's going to be. But once again, it's a game time decision. Rumored that I did hear is that he did get an ejection on Wednesday, and then he did obviously practice on Wednesday and a couple days earlier, and then also through on Saturday. So we'll see if Justin Herbert's going to be out or not too. So that's interesting. I wonder why you guys are going to put your center down for this week. I mean, has he not been playing that well? Has he gotten injured? Because I know there's no injuries at all. And I think you're talking about Luke Fortner, right? I haven't heard anything about any injuries or anything at all for you guys. So who knows? If that happens, I don't know if maybe he just wasn't doing his job correctly or not, but that kind of makes a big difference. If you don't have your starting center in there, it kind of takes away the continuity, snapping the ball, how Trevor Lawrence wants the ball to be snapped. And obviously, if he's done a pretty good job, like last week, you guys did a fantastic job of keeping Trevor Lawrence clean, only 2 quarterback pressures all game. So maybe that's what it is. Maybe they just feel like he's not doing well. So that's something to keep an eye on too, for sure. So, yeah. So either way, guys, that's what I got here for you. Any other last little questions or anything like that? Excited for the Jags games. Once again, we don't really have a true update on everybody. We don't know if Keenan Allen's going to be out there, if it's going to be Chase Daniels too. I think the game plan is going to be basically the same if it's Justin Herbert or Chase Daniels out there. It's going to be a lot of small dink and dunk kind of passes all around. Need to get the run game going. You need to dominate at the line, both ends. Defensive line, offensive line. We have an extremely opportunistic back end of our defense. We have a very, very solid, I mean, J.C. Jackson's not going to play, but guys, Michael Davis is solid. Asante Samuel, he could have easily had 2 picks last game against the Chiefs. I think that he is very, very solid as a cornerback and turning the corner to become a top cornerback in the league. And then obviously we got our Derwin James kind of run around in the backfield too, plus Bryce Callahan, who's rated as one of the top slot cornerbacks right now. So my prediction, Puckton, is Puckyan. I don't think he's going to be playing. I think Justin Herbert is going to play. I think that the thing about him is, hey, we'll see how it works for him in game. We'll see how the O-line does work for him. If he feels that, hey, it's not really working out well, because these rib injuries are pretty tough. He played yesterday, or at least he had some throwing yesterday. He threw around at the facility, seeing how it works. And I know that he was talking a little bit about, how he kind of, the throwing motion on a rib injury is tough. And I think it's on the left side of his rib. So throwing across your body or whatnot, it's pretty tough. So everybody in here is saying that Staley is going to rest him. So that's interesting if that does happen. So it looks like it could be Chase Daniels as our guy this week. So if that is breaking news, man, all right, Chase Daniels it is then, I guess. So amazing if that happens. We'll see how that pans out. But once again, I do think the whole thing is the game plan will still be the same. The run game needs to work and the short game needs to happen. So it's a lot of dink and dunk passes. So if that is true, I mean, I'm looking around on the Twitterverse. I'm looking around everywhere. I don't see anything yet saying that it does say that he said, no, he's not playing today. So, so we will see. We will see. So either way, excited to be able to watch this game. Yeah. Every NFL quarterback, Indiana Jones, who suffered the injury, played the next week. So, yeah, and that's true. I mean, the one thing, too, back in 2014, Tony Romo had the same exact thing, played the entire season, still went 12-4. And he had that injury kind of earlier in the season. I think it was in October of that year of 2014. Had the same exact injury, threw that donut around his waist and just goes. So I think the thing is, though, as we saw, even with that game, I mean, in the game with the Chiefs where he injured it, guess what? He still was throwing ropes. He still was making passes. Yeah, it took a little time for him to kind of figure it out because he could have ran the ball, got a first down, and then threw a 35-yard plus pass to DeAndre Carter. I mean, he still made it happen. So, I mean, I think it's smart for any team right now to play against the Chargers that you got to expect Justin Herbert to play. The dude's an absolute beast. I mean, he's phenomenal. So, yeah, and Indiana Jones, that's true. I mean, we really need to attack their corners. I mean, Rayshon Jenkins is one of their guys, and I thought he was a good player. He seems to be blending very, very well with the Jags and doing well with the Jags. I mean, we could attack the back end of their defense quite a bit too. So, yes, youth makes a big difference of how a defense can work. The thing is, though, for us, pound for pound, offense, defense, special teams, we have a very experienced team, and we have a much more talented team all around, and I should say experienced talents, because I do feel the Jags have a very solid team of talent. Now, once again, it's a young team of talent. So it's going to be interesting to be able to see how that works, and we do need to attack them quite a bit. So, yeah, and Cody, it's going to be interesting to see. I mean, and based upon Vegas, now they're saying it's going to be a closer game than we expected initially. It was 7.5 initially as the line for the Chargers. Now it's at 3.5 ish for this game. So there's a good chance this could be a 3-point game. My thing is if Justin Herbert does play, and say we're 31-3 or something like that, and I'm not saying that's going to be the case or anything. As a Charger fans, I'll tell you, we're pretty jaded in the sense of we've gone into a lot of games where we feel that we're going to win and we find a way to lose. And so we always tend to overlook teams a little bit, and we find a way to lose. And I've always said we need to play our game. And I think Brandon Staley needs to learn to play our game further. Let's not play to their level of competitions, play Chargers football the way that we want to play football. So that's the thing about this game. So we'll see how it goes. It's going to be a great game all around. So Toby, how do you think our defense will do? I mean, man, the thing about our defense, we're pretty healthy outside of J.C. Jackson. I don't think J.C. Jackson's going to play at all, but Michael Davis will take in his position and did well. And he did well against the Raiders also too. So that's the biggest X factor for sure. I definitely feel that that's going to be the big thing for this. Our defense needs to find ways to close games out. And we did it against the Raiders. And I think that's the thing about us is that we need to make this defense step up. I'm going to say, man, I have said it a couple times on the stream. We're very opportunistic based defense. We have done great to be able to get our hands close to a lot of interceptions. First game, 3 picks versus Derek Carr. Beautiful to watch that. We just need to make those interceptions become points. Last week against the Chiefs, we had about 4 opportunities to have picks. 2 of those potentially could have been pick sixes. One was the Asante Samuel pick in the end zone that he ended up dropping. It seemed very, very close that he could have grabbed that and ran that to the house. Derwin James had another one too, where he caught that ball, could have ran that to the house. So the thing is, though, we really could have been a 4-pick base game last week. And I expect that there's going to be a lot of that too. So we will see how that pans out. Yeah, and that's the thing. That's a big, big point for this game is that the Jags O-line Indiana could essentially get wrecked. I mean, this defense is very, very good. I mean, my hopes is as this defense grows, and now once again, we're in week 3. This is when the defense starts to gel a little bit more. So we're excited to be able to see how it goes this game. And I think that this is going to be an interesting one to see how dominant our defense is. Key to this is attack the middle, get the pressure to Trevor Lawrence, which our ends will be able to swarm in. So, I mean, Khalil Mack and Joey Bosa are menaces. I mean, it's pretty tough to be able to guard those guys some way or another. I know Jawan Taylor's been doing pretty well for them, for the Jags. And now, once again, about Jawan Taylor, I always say this about a guy who's in his last year of his contract. For some reason, he finds a way to play really well. He's trying to get that big money contract somewhere or another. And so we'll see. He's going up against a much tougher situation with week one versus the Commanders. They didn't have Chase Young. I mean, they didn't have a guy that could really go after them. Last week against the Colts, I don't feel like they have the strongest of pass rushers. They also didn't have Shaq Leonard out there, who's an absolute stud too. So he makes a big difference. He kind of reminds me a lot of like the Derwin James kind of guy. So looks like we got a little smack talking in the chat. Love seeing that, guys. But once again, if you guys like the content, if you like the video, smash the like button. If you guys like our channel, subscribe to it. We appreciate the support, guys, here. And once again, I'm down 2 bros today. My brother Andrew and Kyle are at Thunder Alley right now, partying out there. And we're actually doing some kind of giveaways out there too that my brother Kyle set up also too. So we will see how that kind of pans out for them. But if you guys are going to the game, go down to Thunder Alley, say hello to my brothers there. Lori, yep, go Bolts. Let's go. You know, one thing we always talk about, you know, bolt up, don't punt. You know, let's go back to that kind of game. Let's go back to the game of where we just play our Brandon Staley 4th and Staley situation. So, but yeah, Herbert for sure is having an ejection today. We'll see how it pans out for him. You know, once again, guys, and I've said it multiple times, this is not an injury. It's going to be just a 1 week kind of situation that you get past. Like I've had a rib injury before and it's annoying. It's very, very annoying. And it annoys you all throughout. I can't imagine even playing football with pads, you know, running around, throwing passes across your body, downfield. It really throws you off. But there's a lot of times that guys get through it. And like I said, with the Tony Romo situation, he played through it through 2014 and had no problem. Austin Eckler on his Twitch, he even talked about how Justin Herbert's played with a rib injury before. So, you know, I don't know if he was supposed to leak that because I don't remember ever seeing anything like that on an injury report. But, you know, he was definitely leaking some information on his Twitch, which, you know, we appreciate that, Austin. Thank you. Thank you. Toby, actually, I'd be interested to see what your guys' prediction are for this game, for the score. You know, my opinion of it is there's a couple different ways to look at it. And Vegas, for some reason, knows how to predict scores and knows how to be able to win somewhere or another. And so I know in that Oregon game last night against Washington State, I believe it was, you know, obviously Oregon was up pretty significantly to win the game. And then Washington State got that last touchdown, which basically favored Washington State to cover the spread. So it's interesting to be able to see that. But you know, there's a couple ways that we have to look at it with Justin Herbert and Chase Daniels, whoever will be at the helm for the quarterback position. It's kind of tough to be able to know. My opinion, and actually one key of the game, which I didn't even bring up, we need to find a way to be able to get up to 30 points. That's a big key in the NFL. If you could get up to 30, generally that kind of means that you're going to win the game. And week 1 and week 2 have been ridiculous on scores. And these games have been crazy weird all around to where, you know, there's been games where it's like you think you're up 36 or 37 or whatever. And the next thing you know, the team comes back and wins and beats you by 3 or whatnot. So it'll be interesting to see how that kind of works out this game. I don't think that will be kind of one of these type of games where it'll be a complete offensive outpour. But I do really want the Chargers to find a way to get to 30. We've been stuck on this 24-point game for the last 2 weeks, and we need to be able to get past that point. 24 is a very low scoring, in my opinion, in the NFL. It's not a bad score, but I mean, once again, both of these games have been decided very, very closely all around. So either way, you guys got some predictions here. So Toby's basically saying 30-10. That could definitely be a possibility. My hopes is that we could get to 30. Indiana Jones, 24-17. Yeah, I mean, that 24-point thing, man, I just don't feel comfortable about it. Our defense is very good. I do think that we have the ability to stop games like what we did in against the Raiders on week 1. I just need to get past that. We need to get past that 24-point threshold. Now, with Chase Daniels or Justin Herbert, Chase Daniels, I expect a little bit of a low scoring. With Justin Herbert, I do not expect a low scoring game. Cody Jackson, 31-28. That could be pretty good. I mean, that kind of plays pretty closely to the Vegas line. We got another one, Jags win here. 31-23 with the Jags winning. So you never know, man. I don't really know. This is a game that I'm a little nervous about because, like I said, with the Chargers in the past, they find ways to lose games that you feel like should be a win. So um, it's a good game. It's a great game. I think it's awesome. Lori just threw in 35-13 bolts. Hey, one thing I want to see with the Chargers is I want to see a blowout, and I want to see it happen. And I want to be able to show, because I go back to the 2006 season with the Chargers when we had a dominant defense all around. And that was a phenomenal watching those games. And I do really feel like there's a lot of comparisons to this defense, to that defense when we were the number one defense in the league that year. We have been a lot of those games are blowouts, and a lot of games that just seem like easy and ready to go. So I think it's going to be, I would love to see a blowout game. I would love to see it. I hate these heart attack games the Chargers tend to always do for us. It's a free cardio for us, but at the same side, I don't need the cardio. I get plenty of it during the week. I'm good. So yeah, I know. Yeah, the Jags do have a very good defense, Puck, man. I mean, the thing about it is, I do think there's two things that you have to think about. Who have you played recently? Have you played the same caliber of team as the Chargers? Commanders, I don't know if the Commanders are scaring anybody right now. And the Colts were a lot of hype going into the season. And my opinion of that is I don't think that they really truly have that talent yet with that team. Now, to me, Matt Ryan is one of those guys that's a very good quarterback a couple years ago. I've been saying that he's an old school quarterback in a new school quarterback league, and he fits the old mold of what a quarterback was. A statue-based quarterback, stays behind the line, doesn't run, and he is not really one of those guys. So I think he's kind of past his point and past his prime. And the Jags, for some reason or other, have been getting a lot of these one-year based quarterbacks, and that's not good for continuity on a team. So, and yeah, Cody, you guys do lead the turnovers in the league for sure. No, that's great. But once again, a lot of those turnovers were against a guy last week that, just you guys absolutely dominated, and you destroyed that Colts line. And I think that once again, if you get after Justin Herbert, or excuse me, if you get after Matt Ryan, he basically doesn't move at all. It's kind of similar to how we were with Phillip Rivers years ago. So once again, you got to look at what your recent competition is. Chargers are a whole new game, my friend. So you got to be worried about that. So keep an eye on that. So we will see how that pans out for this game. Once again, subscribe, like our videos here, guys. We love all the support. We love all the questions, and it looks like you guys got a little bit of a battle going on right now about who's going to win. Anthony, yeah, defense wins this game. 28-17, bolts up, baby. Yeah, that's the thing. This defense is the X factor. I know we chatted about it earlier on, and the defense is going to be the big thing of this. This is a totally different defense than what we had last year. And some people try to compare last year of, oh, we can't stop the run or whatnot. Well, we're actually pretty good against the run, by the way, guys. I think we are currently 7th in the league in stopping the run. And we're pretty solid at that point. So I think that is going to be a big thing this week. Defense is going to find a way to be able to make a lot of stops here in this game. So it's going to be a fun one to watch. Going to be a very fun one to watch. So yeah, Willie, let's make it happen, my friend. Bolt up. Let's do this, guys. So I'm excited to be able to see how this going. So, and once again, we easily could have been 2-0 this week. We found ways to be able to slow down that second half of the game. When that report came out talking about the Chiefs are saying that the Chargers aren't as well conditioned as a team as the Chiefs were, they felt that was an advantage, which it kind of makes it sense of how our second half has been, where we've been a little bit more lax or, a little conservative in the second half. I mean, that's really, really frustrating to watch as a Chargers fan. So either way, I think it's going to be a good game. I want to be able to keep our foot on the gas this entire game from beginning to end. So Cody, good luck, my friend. looking forward to the game. It's going to be a great game all around too, my friend. So excited for the game. And for the Jags fans that have jumped in, man, it's an exciting time for them. It's exciting for them to be able to see, hey, man, we're top of the division for once. Once again, you guys haven't won a game since 2019 versus the Oakland Raiders, who are not even a team anymore. They are the Las Vegas Raiders. So, and they have not beat the Chargers. They're 0-5 versus the Chargers on the road. So this is an interesting thing to see here, man. So we'll see how it all pans out. But I mean, once again, going East Coast to West Coast can throw you off. Going West Coast to East Coast can throw you off as a team too. So, and I heard they actually flew out yesterday, not on Friday. So they didn't even have a day to be able to get really truly acclimated to the time differences. So we will see. Jags fans are classy, my friend. It's an interesting thing. When we did a interview with UCF Jaguar earlier in the week, it was interesting because there was a lot of comparisons of the Chargers fans and the Jags fans. They're kind of just more like, hey, we know our team. We know what we do. We know some of our tendencies and everything too. I think it's kind of one of those things that we kind of always have a little bit of a different point of view as our team. We love our team. We appreciate our team, but we find ways to be able to shoot ourselves in the foot. And we haven't done a whole heck of a lot recently. But, I know with the Chargers, we have a lot of talent on both ends. And, really, I think the defense is the total X factor too. So, yeah, Indiana Jet that they flew last night. It's interesting. A lot of coaches don't like to do that. They like to fly a day in early, kind of get acclimated as a team, kind of just not make it feel like too much of a business trip per se. I know if anybody's ever done a trip to the West Coast or East Coast and made it a one-day trip, I did that one time to Jersey, and man, it was tough. It was tough to be able to get accustomed to the time differences and everything too. It's tough. It's tough. So yeah, Cody, UCF Jag's awesome. He's super, super awesome, man. Whoa, Bosa and Mac, 8 sacks today. Woo! Yikes. I mean, we got 6 sacks against the Raiders on week 1. That was fun to watch. The thing about it is their O-line. I think I'm not going to compare the Jags O-line to the Raiders O-line. I once again, last week, the Jaguars did give up no sacks last week to the Colts. They only gave up 2 pressures or whatnot. I do think the thing about the Colts is they don't have a Joey Bosa and Khalil Mack. That's a tough one to situate there. The Colts do have DeForest Buckner, Ngakwe. They have him too. Shaq Leonard has been out and is going to be out again for them this week. The thing about it is the biggest X factor, which we all know this guy very well. If you've been a Charger fan for a while, the Colts have Gus Bradley as their defensive coordinator. He's a 4-3 base kind of guy, zone cover 3 kind of guy. Rush 4 every single time. That's not the Chargers. We are not that team, by the way. We rush way differently here. We are a totally different team on that sense. We are a lot more man press kind of coverage. We get after the quarterback. So big difference. Your O-line, the Jags O-line will be very, very much attacked and really, really a lot of pressure upon them. So it's going to be interesting to be able to see how this goes. Yeah, and that's the thing, Cody. Walker and Josh Allen are studs. I really, really like those players too. I really actually like Devin Lloyd too. I was pretty high on him about getting him to the Chargers because I kept thinking, hey man, I really feel like our linebackers aren't that good. But to be honest, we've actually had a pretty good situation. Kyle Van Noy has been a great addition to this team. Kenneth Murray has come in and played really well. Drew Tranquill, even with that pick that he made against the Raiders, and is getting a lot of pressure this year too. We've actually got a pretty good core of guys, and we haven't even put in Troy Reeder that I've seen in our linebacking core. He's been a lot more special teams than anything too. So yeah, Anthony, K9 needs to ball out. The thing is, I say this every single time we bring up Kenneth Murray. Just watch his highlights from Oklahoma. He was a stud over there. He was attacking the line a lot. He was really good about getting after the ball and getting after rushers. He was just very, very good at that. And I think we have seen some glimpses of that this year to where K9 has really done a great job of doing that type of game. He seems very healthy, and I'm glad to see that. And I'm glad to be able to see a guy that had a good first year in a Gus Bradley defense once again. Had 100 plus tackles. I think he only had like 1.5 sacks that year. I think he might have had a pick that year too, but last year was kind of a tough situation for him, not healthy at all, but he is looking good so far. Um, so I'm excited to be able to see a lot more Kenneth Murray and see him blossom as a back for us and a linebacker. So yeah, yeah, I think they'll bring a tight end and a running back position or a protection scheme too. That's definitely probably going to be something for us, even at the Chargers, too, just to protect Justin Herbert or Chase Daniels, and also to give an extra protection for us. I think that could be the same thing for the Jags, too. I don't know who their guy would be. That would be like their running back that's a good blocker. I don't really know if James Robinson's that great at blocking, or Travis Etienne is kind of a little bit of a smaller guy in a frame that could he really block people. You guys don't really have a fullback that what I see, unless you're going to put a tight end or something like that as a fullback. But that's one of those things that definitely will be a big factor in this game. Who could have the best coverage for their quarterback all around? Yeah, I'm absolutely worried about Corey Linsley not playing, Toby. And it's interesting. Going back to training camp, he was out one training camp, and it sounded to me like it was one of those things that he was having some issues with his knees, or he was having some injury issues too during that time. So this could have been something that's just kind of gotten up to this point, to where it's becoming a little bit of an issue. It really changed the dimension of that Chiefs game last week. Now we got Will Clapp as our center. We'll see how that pans out. I mean, last week it didn't really help out too much, but we also didn't have Trey Pipkins, who should be starting. So absolutely worries me that Corey Linsley's not there. I mean, Corey Linsley's an absolute stud, pro, got the Pro Bowl last week and everything too. Yeah, Anthony, absolutely. K9, dude, he's a stud. And that's why we went after him. We even traded some picks too, to be able to get up to him too. So he's a stud, and I think we're just kind of doing a very rotational situation with our linebackers right now. Yeah, Lori, that's kind of a good point there. Our defense is real. The Raiders week 1, everybody's talking up the Raiders now. Raiders fans, man, sometimes they're a little delusional, and they didn't really ever look at the deficiencies of that team. And I kept saying in that game, that O-line sucks balls. Raiders, and you can see right now they traded for an O-line, right tackle from the Patriots this week for a 7th round pick. And all of the Raiders fans kept talking about, oh, we got a great wide receiving core. Well, your wide receiving core is just as good as your O-line. If your O-line sucks and can't give your quarterback time, which we saw, basically they got destroyed at that point. Now, we let the Raiders back in. Now, that is biggest concern about, like in general, just to have like an O-line that could actually do its job. But my biggest concern for us is really our O-line. Sorry, I got a little trap. I was reading some of the comments here. But our big thing is this. We have the defense to be able to be really, really aggressive. And I am interested to see how we play against this Jags O-line. Like I said, I know that Gus Bradley defense, and we know that as a Chargers fan, of a 4-man rush almost all the time, same type of cover 3 throughout. So either which way, I'm looking to be able to see that happen. So Raiders going 0-3, let's do it. I would love to see that, man. I would love to see that happen. So, and Colts to shock KC. Hey, man, let's see. Let's see how that happens, because I mean, the thing about it is that any given week, and we've seen some shockers. I mean, 42-10, that would be oh, excuse me. To see the Colts beat the Chiefs this week would be phenomenal. Now that I don't think that's going to happen, but phew, I mean, who knows, man? Who knows? Herbert, Gaming Rams. No official on it yet. It sounds like Herbert wants to go. I think they're almost kind of leaving it up to Herbert to be able to make that decision. The doctors are telling him to not do that and to be able to play the long game and wait at least a game or so. So we will see. We will see what happens. So there's no official on that. Keenan Allen, it's questionable with him. It seems like he was limited a lot through this week. So we'll see how that pans out for Keenan Allen. But Corey Linsley is probably going to be out. Trey Pipkins will probably be in. So we'll see how it all pans out for us. So we will see. Yep. FTR, baby. FTR. Family, trust, respect. 0-3. Let's go. I would love to be able to see that happen. We'd love to see the cellar dwellers be the Raiders. Now, it'll be interesting to see the Broncos too and see how many weird choices they make throughout their game, which it's funny because they actually hired somebody to be a game manager for the head coach. So pretty funny, pretty funny. But once again, guys, game is in about 3 hours ish. So looking forward to the game, guys. Week 3 has started. Let's get watching some football, guys. Once again, like, subscribe to the channel. We appreciate your guys' comments and involvement. Once again, looking forward to this game against the Jags today, my friends. So once again, guys, bolt up, don't punt, bolt bros. Let's go.